we are all set for a super interesting session. And I'm not the expert here at all. Let me tell you upfront. And we have couple of experts who are so experienced that we'll get to know so much about how to make good nutritious food, and that's going to be the agenda today. Let us spread the word about making like awesome good nutritious food at home. So we have with us the author of this book right here, the Good Health Always Cookbook. Her name is Charmaine De Souza, and this is her third book, by the way. If you don't know about her, the first one was Kitchen Clinic, the second one Blood, Sugar, and Spice, and that was for diabetic patients,
Diabetes.
I believe, yeah, particularly. And yeah, I mean, she is a nutritionist. You can also check her out on Instagram and Facebook. There's a page there, and by the same name, by the way, Good Health Always, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes.
So there is going to be a lot of revelation about some secret recipes, some tips for people like me who are like super novice at this, who have just started cooking perhaps recently due to the pandemic or out of I don't know what, but we people like me might just enjoy this book. Okay, and we have with us Mayank Iswal from Texas, who has really, taken time out. And I am saying that because he has gotten up very early. He's all set to, discuss this book. He went all out to read this one in one day. So let me compliment you on that, because not
Thank
all
you.
the panelists read the entire book. So that is something we really appreciate at Booknerds. Also, I would like to tell you about Mayank. He started in the Himalayas and went on to, study hotel management in the Northeast at IHM Guwahati, and then, worked for various hotels, the Lalit, etc., etc., across the globe. And now he's working for the Spice Route Company, and he embarked on a project which took him across India to explore the amazing food that we have. And now he's working in Texas at Musafir. So we'll be asking him a lot about Charmaine's book, about a lot of different topics, nutrition, everything under the sun. And but first of all, welcome both of you to this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayank, too, for waking up at this odd hour, to be with us.
Great, great.
So,
So,
looking
so
forward.
yeah, the my first question to you guys is, or I'll flip it. You know what? I'll ask for Mayank's first impression, and then I'll go to Shamin about the book.
Okay.
Okay, so my first impression was, when I was going through it, and I always, try to read the content in the book first. So it was so interesting, that I it was like, like me right there. This is what I think about the spices. This is what I think about the herb. This is what I think about the superfoods. And for us to make it, we complicate everything. The chefs, they complicate everything. It's like so many steps involved. A lot of detail in there. But thanks to Charmaine, like she made it so simple. Oh my God, I can't thank her enough. This will be the game changing book, in terms of superfoods and in trying recipes at home. She has made it really, really simple. My favorite topics were like millets.
Yeah.
Like millets are the superfoods, and then we use millets in the restaurant as well. I was taking ideas, from the book. I can use the millets like this. Oh yes, of course. This is the way forward to use millets. It's simpler recipes. I think that's what the food is going to be in the future. Like more simpler, I would say, and and it's an inspiration for a lot of chefs as well to draw from, and of course just not superfood millets, but there were so many other things like learning about different ingredients at the same time.
Yeah.
And then then she touched base about the nargisi kofta, and so we also do a nargisi kofta like a vegetarian version. So
Yes, yes.
mine a little bit different, but it was great connect. I was going, so I was very interested. The more I was reading,
Yeah.
So I just went through and I just made my few notes, for myself so that I can use the small tips somewhere. So
Thank you so much, Mayank, for first impressions. The first impression was also quite detailed. And let me tell you, Charmaine, those notes are not like, those are not meager notes he has made. Okay.
I'm sure they're very
I
intense.
don't want to show you my notes. So, so congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
and the publisher who have kind of put it all together, and the team, of course, thank you Penguin India for letting us do this, and Sumangla who made this happen. So my first question to you, you have written 3 books now. It's, I mean,
Okay.
everybody has got some recipes, right, in their head. I mean, let's be honest, in India there is so much, there are so many home cooks, and there's a lot of knowledge, oral knowledge, but you are bringing it all together on paper, which is helpful for a lot of people. I mean, Mayank is a professional, but
That's
people like me who go to YouTube, and we were talking about this earlier also, who go to YouTube and get confused. What was the kind of overall motive of this, putting everything on paper? Because you might well have not, maybe you wouldn't have done it.
so I will tell you exactly what happened. So I have a 30-year practice, okay, in the field of nutrition and dietetics.
Yeah.
And I also do a lot of the spice mix therapies. So what we
Okay.
do is we typically assess a case in terms of blood sugars and blood pressure, etc., etc. And accordingly, I do a case specific and condition specific spice mix for my patients to
Okay.
use adjunct to the diet plan that we prescribe for them,
Right.
which then means that for 15 days, they will go through the diet plan, they will follow everything, but they will also have the spice mix 3 times a day.
Right.
And that spice mix they know is tailor-made to their specifications. And most importantly, it's something that I do not make for them, my team does not make for them. We send out the recipe. We email the recipe to them. So say, for example, they booked a 3-month package with us.
Yeah.
They get 6 recipes after every 15 days.
Okay.
So suppose there are 5 or 7 things that we need to target. We need to target cholesterol levels.
Yeah.
We need to target a bowel movement issue. We need to target headaches.
Yeah.
But we also need to target hair, skin, nails, depression. It's a complete holistic way of living, looking at things. And most importantly, we're dealing with everything. So you're not coming to me, or that person is not coming to me only to get their cholesterol or their blood sugar or their blood pressure levels kind of brought back into normal.
Yeah.
But they're looking at, Charmaine, I don't get sleep and I worry about this and I have so many fears and this, that, and the other. So over a period of time, apart from giving them the spice mix recipe, which changes every 15 days according to their feedback,
Yeah.
we've also had questions like, how do I make this subject? Okay, so you just give them a basic or you send them a recipe from the internet or whatever. Then came the lockdown. And over a period of time, we've been putting down recipes, we've been putting down ideas, working on calories, working on within the nutrients. So what's a high protein food and what's a high protein recipe or a high lycopene recipe, etc., etc. We've been doing all that. And then came the lockdown. And we had luckily moved to an online practice 3 years prior to that. So in 2017, I'd already moved the entire practice. Like when I was in my 27th year, I'd moved the practice to online just so that I could go to different cities and countries
Right.
and hold my talks, whatever, without my regular practice and the patients I regularly saw being affected by it. So I could pick up my laptop in some airport and sit down and work on their case, chat with them, Zoom calls, whatever. So we'd already done that. So it was easy for a lot of people. That whole migration into online space took a little time to adjust to. We were already doing it, so we went with the flow.
Yeah, true.
But then what do? You start thinking about it. And most importantly, I know that I don't have a cook at home. The book definitely says that, we did try a cook once many, many years ago, and she went and she put the same masala into everything, whatever. But there were so many friends and relatives who were totally lost without a cook.
Okay.
Without someone who came in every day to help them to make their meals.
Yeah.
So I know of people who have a Maharaj who comes and does breakfast and lunch, and the other Maharaj who comes and does the dinner. And then there's one more Maharaj who does the evening snack and a special meal for the father-in-law or whatever. And during Diwali and festivals, there is a fourth Maharaj who comes to do all the stuff that is fried. So whether it is that bhujia or the namkeen or whatever it is. And they were totally
Black.
at a loss when it came to
They must
having
have
to
been
get
like,
into the
it's
kitchen.
a suffering, right? It's a suffering if you are, stuck with that sort of
Yeah,
scenario.
it was torture. And I was thinking about it and I was just thinking that, oh my goodness, this is a nice time to put down recipes and send it. So our first thing is, let's sit and quietly do one ebook and
Yeah.
send it to all the friends and everything, put a PDF, whatever, and just send it out to everyone. And I happened to be talking to Millie around that time and we'd already started. So she said hello and I picked up the phone and we were chatting on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, Millie, you live 100 years. And she said, why? I said, we're figuring out an ebook and I'm just wondering how to do it. She said, but Charmaine, we do ebooks, we do your Kindle versions and we do everything. Just send it to me. And that's how it happened. So we sent the entire thing. We were ready with everything. We just had to fine tune a few chapters or whatever. We sent everything to her and she said, let me just put it to my team again online and let's see how it goes. And within 3 days, she replied and she said, yeah, we're doing this. So
Wonderful.
Okay,
Wonderful.
they'd already done the previous books.
For those of you who are wondering who Millie is, she's the main publisher at Penguin Random House. So, Mayank, I know that you are also thinking about writing, right? So
Yes.
I hope Charmaine will help you out also.
Definitely.
So tell me something, how do we, create a balance between nutrition and, taste? Because that's something, a very common man question that I don't know if it comes to you, must have. But, it's kind of thing, whatever is not tasty is supposed to be healthy. Is that true? What's happening there?
Definitely not. Mayank will agree with me.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mayank first and then we'll go to Charmaine.
So for me as a chef, that was a challenge in the beginning when I was, there was starting days in the industry and, then, as I was practicing Ayurvedic spices and everything, I was creating a format, this is how it works. And then I realized it's also to do with your senses. That's what I always say. It's all about the taste, texture, and aromas. That is the foundation and stepping stones for all the chefs. But at the same time, the nutrition of the food, we were learning it, institute, and I was just talking to Charmaine about that. So it was very important for me when we opened Musafir in Houston. That was the time I was heading a restaurant. I was the executive chef. I said, now this is my baby. Okay. I'm going to do how I want it. Okay. So the basic steps, change as the produce changes, change the menu. Very important. Okay. Spices needs to change according to the season. Very, very important. I'll give you a very simple example to break this down. Yeah. A chai in the summer season. Okay. How the chai in the summer season should be. It should be with the cooling spices. Yeah. Cooling spices and cooling herbs at the same time. So that's the reason we change the chai as well every season. My impression when I came to United States and, I was craving for my chai and I went to the Starbucks. And I went to the Starbucks. I got this chai full with a lot of warming spices. Okay. And they say it wrong. It's chai tea latte here. Chai is a little translation. It's like, it's crazy. I don't know. And then I wrote a big letter to Starbucks. That, you need to understand the science of the spices. You cannot make chai in the summer season with the warming spices. It's the total opposite. So it gave me an opportunity to serve masala chai in my restaurant. I never wanted to do that. So now how it works with the senses is, when we started promoting masala chai in the restaurant, it was like, people used to say, is it chai tea? It's masala chai. So that was the first thing, everybody in the front of the house, they went to a very extensive training program. We made them taste everything. So I told them, just tell them it's with the cooling spices. You just have to please their senses. Okay. The moment you say that, you talk about those spices. A lot of people, they will not understand most of the spices because they're not used to a lot of spices. They only know black pepper and cinnamon. That's it. Okay. So my thing was, tell them it's mint.
Okay.
The picture of the mint comes into your brain, and already you're relaxing.
Yeah,
That's what scientists do to you.
Great.
absolutely.
Let me
And
come
the
back
moment
to
the
you.
child came,
Mike, let me come back to you. Charmaine, the same question to you. I figure, I mean, I've heard this a million times. Like, whatever is healthy is not supposed to be tasty. I mean, is the myth being broken by this? What?
Totally busted out there
Okay.
because uh,
I think
because
that's the right word.
yeah, because what we did is we put out these recipes, right? So coming from a nutritionist, dietitian, daughter's nutritionist, this, that, and the other, and they've helped with the book,
Yeah.
meant that it's going to be, oh gosh, sometimes people look at my husband and they think, poor guy, he must be starving out there, and all he must be given is diet food and whatever else. And they always fool us, do you all ever go to restaurants? No,
Right.
we don't visit restaurants very frequently, and that's, when we visit Houston, we'll definitely do Musafir. But I'm just saying, most of the time, because all four of us cook and get into the kitchen, and food cooking is therapeutic for us. So the minute we eat something in a restaurant, the first thing is we're looking at each other and we look. But when Dad made it, it was so much better. Or I'm sure we can replicate this recipe and cut off the oil, and so we're talking about that. So we prefer to kind of either order in and analyze, or
Right.
sit at home and prepare the stuff, like whether it could be Mexican, Chinese, whatever. But we're just doing it at home. So the first thing that comes to mind is, it's going to be bland. It's going to be, zero oil. It's going to be only baked, and it's going to be air fried and whatever. And it's going to taste like cardboard. That's what most people think, right? So what we did is we put out 120 recipes. So we zeroed in and figured out that this is 120 vegetarian recipes we want out there. But we are not going to wait for people like Mayank later on, after the book is published, to then give us opinion. We value that opinion, but we also, before that, we wanted to know what a diabetic patient feels about a Karela sabji or a stuffed bitter gourd or whatever.
Right.
What does a cancer patient feel about a red currant lentil, tuvar dal souffle?
Yes.
Or what does someone else feel, when they have health issues? So they're already bogged down by so many health issues.
Right.
They have this whole, and I'm in charge of their health because they're already my patients, right? So they're my clients. So they know that if I say that you can try this and you can have this portion of it, they're going to happily do it because she said it. Tomorrow our blood sugars go high, we're going to have to kind of, address it, which Charmaine had said. So we sent out all of these recipes to 120 people. We sent out specific recipes, right?
Oh, wow.
Some of them had major health issues. They were on dialysis, etc. And some of them had, just a simple thing like I need to address my hair and skin or my nails or whatever.
Yeah.
So we sent out those recipes and then began the work, because coordinating with them, hand holding. A lot of them had never known the difference between for example, 2 types of red chilies. Or someone had never, ever used a banana peel, and they were aghast when we said, like you can use a banana peel.
I was reading the book and I was like, seriously? No, I can't.
There's a baker who laughed at me, and we also, apart from patients per se, we also send the recipes to chefs, patisserie, like people in the bakeries, etc., who were then going to use the spinach in the brownies and the millets in the cookies and whatever else. So there was a lot of feedback, right? And that feedback is something that Random House Penguin graciously agreed to publish in the book. So they said that it's important. So people have a gist of, okay, they're looking at the recipe. Should I follow it? And then they're looking at somebody who has written out there, I didn't think that I would be able to make this, or I didn't think I'll be able to mix these 2 ingredients and get a product that was so good. Yeah. But it was. So like they say, the proof is in the pudding, right?
And in fact, those parts which you are specifically talking about was quite interesting, because you kind of, figure out that this is not mumbo jumbo, right? It's happening. It's right here. Tejal Malani from Hyderabad mentions it, that both measurement wise and taste wise, this recipe is perfect. Bakery time in my oven is around 25 to 30 minutes, and he goes on. But it's kind of real time sort of, if I can call it real time, but it's kind of feedback, and that gives the book some impetus, if I can mention that. Also, a lot of people, when we posted this online, and they were like, what about grocery shopping?
Okay.
And let me go to Charmaine first this time, and then I'll come to Mayank. A lot of people like me, especially men, are scared of grocery shopping. I mean, I'm not genderizing this or anything, but it's just something that I see every day. So I mean, how does one do that? You have mentioned in the book also, but why is it so difficult for us to figure it out?
So I'll tell you what happens. You go in for three basic ingredients. Like say, for example, you want to buy some chana dal and you want to buy some spice and you want to buy ghee.
Yeah.
You go into that store and there are hundreds and thousands of products, right? Things that you have never used and will probably never use. It will probably, and you will get tempted to buy it. It will be there lying on that kitchen shelf for months and whatever years till you finally chuck it into the bin, right?
Yeah.
So that is the reason why we put out specifics about how to go about this whole thing of grocery shopping. And the most important thing is never, and I'm talking from experience, never ever shop when you are hungry.
Oh, wow.
I will agree.
And I always do that. I always end up, buying that frozen damn thing which I don't want to pick up,
Because you're thinking, oh my God, I'm so hungry. What will I eat? What can I eat? And you've forgotten about what you need, what your kitchen needs, what your pantry needs, and you're just buying everything under the sun and then thinking, why is my cart so full? So the most important thing is never eat when you're hungry. I mean, never shop when you're hungry or never go grocery shopping when you're hungry.
True.
And another thing which like forms this whole visual and which we put out in our Instagram page, etc., a long time ago, was treat that cart, that shopping cart, like you would treat your stomach. Would you go out there and pick up something which has rubble, like an ice cream which has fallen on the pavement, and it has, you can already see the mitti and the mud and whatever on that cone. Will you pick it up and put it into your? No, you will not do that, right? So in the same way, you will pick and choose and decide to buy things that probably could be more expensive than the other package, but because it has healthy ingredients and most importantly, produce that has a shelf life as well as has quality ingredients in it. And that buy one, get one free or buy one, get 5 free and whatever is all good for sales. And I have done it myself, right? Because when you're shopping on a budget or you're trying to maintain that, you always try to look for good deals. Unfortunately, I would say 90% of the time, it's the old, it's the which has gone by that shop by date or whatever, which has expired or nearing expiry, which is put as buy one get 3 free or buy 2 get 5 free and whatever.
Just business.
You're so tempted, right? Because oh wow, you're saving money, but what are you doing ultimately? You're adding unhealthy stuff into your family's meal, right? So that is one of the number of tips that we put out about.
Let's ask Mayank, how does he grocery shop, and what is your method? Is there a method or it's just madness? How do you shop?
It's a method for sure.
Okay.
So grocery shopping in Houston is very different.
Okay.
So for Indian groceries, you have to go to an Indian store.
Right.
And then for the fresh produce, there are unbelievable stores here. So I generally go to HEB here.
Okay.
So they're fixed days. So I know for HEB for sure that if you shop during the weekends, that's the time when you get the best produce, because that's the time like everybody's shopping as well. And there are always samplers to try when we are shopping. So I have my list. It's always on the refrigerator, like sticky notes.
Okay.
So my wife, gives me this task. So you have to go and shop. Okay. So if I have to add something, I have to cook something for my daughter over the weekend. So I'll put that there as well. Okay. So making sure that we are picking up the fresh produce and the seasonal produce, because I understand the seasons very well here as well now, And we have subscribed to a few grocery stores, like fresh produce stores as well. So we always get a list for the week, this is what is fresh.
Okay.
And the spices, I don't trust Indian grocery. So I get my spices from India, that's what we did on a 100-day journey. So these are all single origin spices from India. So from the specific plantation. So
Oh, wonderful.
Spices I'm very particular about. So
Okay.
my way is simple. Grocery days are fixed. This day you have to go. If they're special, if they release a special list, oh, this is the fresh produce, so I go buy it. This is my
I
formula.
see that both of you are obsessed with spices. So tell us, how does one know more about them? Because of course this book is there. I mean, you can learn from this, and there are quite a decent detailing in this where you can learn also. But how does, I mean, growing up, especially I'm just talking about the Indian scenario. I don't think so. We care much about, telling our kids about, spices, It's in general cooking also. I mean, and this is for Charmaine. I also want to know about your household because there are co-authors here. There is Charlyene and Savlyene who have contributed quite heavily to the book. So tell us about your household. How did you inculcate all these things in them? Because they have taken kind of the same route. Tell us a little bit, shed some light on that.
So basically, when you look at food and you look at the role of spices and you know that it's essential, etc., you also know at the back of your mind, there is a history, right? There is a food history related to cultures. The Indian, if you've done the 100-day trial, right, Mayank? So we're looking at food from all over the country, and no two recipes are the same. So if you look at the way upma is made in North India as opposed to East India, etc., it's going to definitely be different. But at the end of the day, for most people, when they see a curry patta, for example, a curry leaf in that sambar, or it's there in the poha or whatever, and it's there. It was used as seasoning. Yes, it has the health benefits, etc. But again, so many people previously would take their fingers if they were eating with their hands, or they would take the fork and chuck it to the side. So very often you would see when you're staring into someone's plate, and you try not to do that very often, but you will see that the star anise is lodged onto the rim of the plate. The little bit of elaichi, whatever is also there. Then comes the curry patta and whatever else. So all the spices and the herbs go to the side of the plate and then ultimately go into the bin. Now, when we were doing our spice mixes, which we have like over 100,000, because every condition is different, right? So we have the different spice blends, and we have therapeutic waters where we tell our clients to put certain ingredients, again, herbs and spices, into the water so that they can drink that through the day. The question that people often ask us is, do I have to eat it? At the end of it, do I have to eat it, etc.? And we always talk about the therapeutic benefits. But before we go on that entire long journey, we always ask them about superfoods, and their eyes light up. And the first thing that comes to mind when people talk about superfoods is, and I'm talking, Mayank, I'm talking in terms of the Indian context, because because the first thing you will say is,
because we are both Pahadis, and we will actually trouble you with Pahadi food also maybe later.
Oh, wow. Okay. but the first thing that happens is that people will say goji berries, things that previously you had to literally beg an uncle or a cousin who was going off to the US or to Switzerland or whatever, please get me that packet of goji berries, or please get me a packet of maca root powder or whatever. And now even your corner banya is talking goji berries, or he's talking moringa powder, and antioxidant and whatever. But what is moringa powder? Moringa powder is nothing but your drumstick leaf powder, right? Ground into a powder. It's drumstick leaf powder, which your grandmothers and great-grandmothers and all have been using forever. So they've been making chutneys out of it and whatever. So when we put the tagline of a superfood, etc., people think in terms of foods which are expensive, foods which they have to call from other countries. But what we try to explain to people is that food is medicine. So when you look at your food as medicine, you also know that thousands and thousands of food scientists and nutritionists have got together and looked at certain foods for their specific value, for their therapeutic and beneficial value, and have called these foods superfoods. Okay, so like the goji berries and the blue and purple and red colored leafy vegetables, etc. There are others which have lycopenes and antioxidants, which are beneficial for the system. And then we try to explain to our people Look at the red pumpkin. Look at potatoes. Look at everything that is on the plate in front of you has some antioxidant property, has bioflavonoids, has lycopene content or whatever. And it becomes your superfood. But most importantly, and Mayank will agree here, your spices become your super spices. I'll explain to you why. We talk about pomegranate juice and how good it is for the heart, right? And its antioxidant property. But do you know that half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, half a teaspoon of jeera powder, or 1 teaspoon, like a level teaspoon of jeera powder, will provide you with the same antioxidant amount as 2 glasses of your pomegranate juice. Now, this is not to say that just start eating jeera and don't have the pomegranate, because it has other benefits too, right? So when we are looking at the benefits that come in terms of the fiber and the minerals and vitamins, etc., yes, your pomegranate juice has a role to play. But when you're looking at a super spice, it's just a tiny amount which packs in so much of punch that you're waiting there and you're thinking, oh my God. Like I explained in recently I had a talk show wherein we explained about how 1 simple star anise in your bottle of water through the day energizes you so much. And then when we tell people that Tamiflu, and they've heard about Tamiflu, right, in terms of all the bird flu, avian flu, etc., as a drug for that, Tamiflu also uses star anise, a component from the star anise, in the manufacture of Tamiflu. And then people are like, oh, it has medicinal. That means it has medicinal properties. But when we're crying ourselves for saying that, add those spices, include them in a particular way, in a particular combination. And like Mayank said, that yes, there are foods and there are spices that are seasonal. Now, given that you are in a restaurant, you have that ability to change, and it's in your control to change the amounts of spices for the dishes, to change your entire menu, right? But when we are talking about our spice blends, when I'm talking about our GHA spice mix, which we ask our patients to make in their kitchens and have, their amounts change. So if they're using star anise, even in the summer, we're adding a lot more fennel. We're adding a lot more of flaxseed so that the balance is there. So in terms of heating and other properties.
So my next question was about cookbooks, because and I had asked asked the same question previously to Veer Sangvi, and I won't tell you his answer, but after you have answered it, I will tell you. But how do cookbooks exist right now? Because I mean, we normally go to YouTube now, or we see something on Instagram and just start, making it. What's going on? I don't find it very sorted, the entire scenario. So that's a concern on a very personal level, which I wanted to ask you guys, because how does one figure out, of course, books are there, but do enough people have cookbooks on their shelf in India per se? Let's go to Mayank first and then we'll go.
Please do.
So for me, all our recipes, if you see our food history, and a lot of things are not being documented.
Yeah.
There are few things, of course, if you refer to the Ayurveda, few things are documented. But if you see the food history, it's very recent. Few hundred years ago, it's not been documented really. All these recipes are like safeguarded by the, that's what people say. And when you see it, it was always in the families, and then passed on from generation to generation.
Yeah.
So for me, looking at the cookbooks, yes, because I went to the culinary college and everything, but I think for a common man, there were very few families they used to refer. It was always in the family, the recipes. They used to follow that. Right. But it's the new trend of social media. Now people have started going, online and, searching recipes on YouTube. People do that these days. And, of course, they go to hotels and they do cooking sessions with the chefs as well.
Yes.
So this is how people are making their own kind of cookbook, I would say, like their recipe bank, something like that.
But I'm concerned about one thing, and we'll go to Charmaine now. I'm concerned about one thing, that YouTube, Instagram, these are algorithms, right? They will show you a certain thing. It might not be the best thing, right? So that's why I'm worried. The chicken curry I'm making or butter chicken I'm making, looking at those steps, am I doing the right thing? Or, or I have to go to books like these. Kind of confusing, the entire scenario.
So,
okay, so mine, go ahead, man.
No, please. Go ahead.
So when you look in terms of the confusion, right, and you're writing a cookbook, you're writing it with a reason. You're writing it to sort out the confusion in people's minds. You're writing it in the hope that this will become one of those heirloom recipes. This is something that that's what I would do as a child. I mean, growing up, I have this little black book, and it has recipes that have been tried and tested every single Christmas, right? And the book is practically coming apart. Unfortunately, for this Christmas, we didn't even have the book because my husband decided after Jan of 20, he decided, since he had some more time, he decided to document it and put it out into a kind of Excel sheet or whatever.
Okay.
And kept it in a very safe place, and we still haven't found that safe place. So I went crazy at Christmas time because there is, like, you can mix and match, you can add more ingredients or whatever to a pilaf or to a curry or whatever. But when you're baking, or you're making a marzipan, or you're making like some rose cookies or whatever, you need the exact amounts, right? Luckily for me, I'm one of those people who was very happy to give out recipes. So if anyone said, Charmaine, the thali sweet is really, really good, all I do is click a picture of that thali sweet and send it out to people and say, why don't you pass it on to whoever? So this Christmas, I actually had to ask people. I had to call them up and say, can you please send my recipe back? So they, in my handwriting, whatever, the screenshot, and they did. So maybe some God was helping me. But the most important thing is that what you're trying to do is you're trying to put out the best. Okay. It is not possible for every single person who tries out that recipe to follow it to a T, and most importantly, to love it. Okay, there's always going to be that little element of, oh, if I had added a little more lime. If you see the reviews, if you see the feedback people have given, they have mentioned it. I like it with a little more lemon, so I added a little more. Or I didn't like that much of heat, so the second time I made it, I added a little. And that's what we're trying to put out there. We are not saying that look at the recipe book and follow each and every recipe to the last gram. What I'm saying is that follow the basics. So if you're not going to now looking at the book and looking at the properties of the broccoli stock, you're no longer going to chuck that broccoli, then I will have done my work. Because you can then, instead of putting it in the paratha, you can then put it into your gravies, you can put it into your chutneys, you can do whatever. But it has got you thinking. And it has got you thinking about your health and your family's health. And that is the premise of the book. Reduction of food waste, health behind each and every recipe, and most importantly, promoting this whole thing of good health.
Yeah. So Mayank, a huge part of the book, it keeps going, the book keeps going back to it, that you have to save on the, leftovers, root to stem cooking, as it is mentioned in the book, this one. And what do you think about that? Do you apply it, or how do you deal with it at the restaurant and at home? And then we'll go to Charmaine.
Yeah, so first of all, being a Pahadi, so it was always in our cuisine. So I think it's when I was on my 100-day journey, we mapped out, like, there are 55 different cuisines in India. And Pahadi cuisine is the only cuisine existing in India that follows this, stem to root thing, because let me talk about kolakasia. So what we do with the kolakasia in Pahadi cuisine is with the leaves, we make patod, that's why we always had it at the time of rainy season. So very favorite. Then the stem is made into a nal vadi. That's what we call it. It's basically the lentil paste that is applied on the stems and then is sun dried. Yes. And the another way, using the root, the arbi itself, for making gutkas, right? That's what we call it. Arbi ke gutke is very popular. And on the other hand, when it's the rainy season, you will see all the vines going up the tree, and you'll see beautiful pumpkin flowers and the pumpkin fruit at the same time. So we use the pumpkin flower, we use the pumpkin fruit, we also use the pumpkin seeds. We also use the pumpkin stems and the leaves. Everything is edible.
Wow.
So we've been doing it and in the restaurant, we take it very seriously. We have few dishes in which we showcase every single part of the plant, you know.
Wow.
Yes, so there are a lot of inspiration which I take from my childhood nostalgia, and you know, so that's what we're trying to create here. And when I was reading about it in the book, I was very, very moved. There is someone who is thinking about it. So
So
So I
that
have,
was,
sorry.
it's kind of it's I feel a lot of resonance. So Charmaine, give us an example. For everybody who's watching, how would you do it? Like
Okay.
save on everything and come up with magic.
So it's very simple. When you are trying to find that right balance between career and mothering, when you don't want that guilt, that parenting guilt that every one of us goes through. I've missed my children's race days and whatever, whatever. But you also try to compensate, and then you try to make them independent, right? And I would say that that's what's reflecting currently. A lot of people say, wow, you have such amazing girls. But I just say it was a hard journey because they had to really learn the hard way. And they put it out in the book. They mentioned about how when mom was in Delhi or mom was someplace else,
Yes.
and they've got into the kitchen and, experimented in whatever else. But the premise has always been, so we always had this bowl.
Okay.
Not that the dustbin was too far away from where we were cooking, but we've always had the bowl on the kitchen platform where they had to discard the waste. So if they were paring potatoes, for example, or using all the different sabjis or whatever, they had to keep the bowl next to them and I would inspect.
Yeah.
So the child who had the least in that bowl, in terms of food waste, would kind of be given an extra helping of something, not using food as reward, but be patted on the back or told that you can read a little later into the night today or whatever.
Yeah.
Simply because they had to understand that we can utilize and we can experiment and we can reduce wastage. And from a very young age, they knew that everything that they were throwing into the garbage bin, and I don't mean spoiled or green or whatever potatoes, I mean edible, which is normally edible and goes as food scrap, would be something that would land in the garbage bin at home, yes, but ultimately reach a landfill, and all those gases which would be formed would be something that spoils our environment, right? So when you talk about that and we try to apply the science from their textbooks, the science that they're learning by rote and just writing out into this thing and explaining to them what happens in the kitchen itself and how that will go into a landfill and that will kind of cause climate change, etc. It would resonate with exactly what they were learning in their books, right? So we've always had that kind of a thing. And so whenever we start to cook, we've always put that bowl out. That's the first thing that comes out, that empty bowl, and we try to fill it with the least amount of waste.
Great. So Mayank, this question really troubles me, okay? And I am very passionate about this. See, this vegan business is not for me per se, but I'll still ask you this question. I'm a hardcore non-vegetarian, and vegan food is being propagated like anything. It is right in my face on Instagram every day. And, I'm kind of, worried about it. So tell me, why should I convert? I mean, tell me why should I convert, and will I get the same taste? Because in the book also, Charmaine has talked about jackfruit burgers, and I was like, I almost got a heart attack. But let's talk about it nonetheless.
Can I interrupt? Sorry.
Okay.
Just 1 second, man. I'm very sorry for this. But you mentioned that the jackfruit burgers would give you a heart attack. Let me tell you that pulled pork, the actual pork.
I know. That's
mine. Go ahead. Thank you.
That's true. You literally got me there.
But believe me, jackfruit, we use jackfruit like in our biryanis, it's an amazing meat substitute. Then, of course, we do the vindaloo with the jackfruit, unbelievable, delicious. Then when I came to United States, it was all about impossible meats. People were talking about it. And I was telling people, man, we had it all. Let me make you an impossible burger. Let me make you an impossible slider or a seekh kebab. And we have it in a restaurant. Okay. It's all about learning about the vegan foods, as you just said. So one of the best example is the jackfruit right there. Then we use a lot of lentils. We use a lot of chickpeas to make our seekh kebab. Yeah. It's a trick. If I present you that seekh kebab you will think that, and I put the tomato paste in there to make it red. If I serve you that sikh kebab, you'll say, man, this is beef, this is definitely chicken, or this is definitely lamb, but it is all vegetarian.
Wow.
But impossible meat is also a science. If you try the impossible meats, there is a pigment in the root of the soybeans or the legumes that they generally use. It's this ligoglobin.
Okay.
Ligoglobin. That's what it is.
Okay.
And people use that. It's red in color actually.
Yeah.
And whenever you press the burger patty, it's like you see the blood in there. You say, oh wow.
Wow.
So there's a whole new world about the vegan food. People have been doing a lot of research, and if you go to Rajasthan, if you've heard about chakki ki sabzi, I don't know if you know about that or not. It's like a meat substitute.
Yeah,
it's basically the flour that's been washed, and it's just the gluten. Then they steam it, and then they cut it, and then they toss it up in the gravy. Unbelievable.
Wonderful.
Meat substitute right there.
Tell us what's going on with these jackfruit burgers and kathel in biryanis. What's happening?
What's basically happening is that we're not out there to say that, X food is bad and Y food is good and whatever it is, but it simply means choose. Make an informed choice. You've decided to have the pulled pork burger, go ahead. But if you want to have the pulled pork burger on a daily basis, then that would be foolish, right? Because you know that it's going to impact cardiac health. So on some days, instead of that pulled pork burger, you pull out you use the slow cooked jackfruit, whatever. You use the same spices and everything else that goes into the barbecue sauce and whatever, and use that. Then it means that you can still enjoy food and not feel guilty at the end of it. And more importantly, after 3 months, when you're doing your blood reports or when you're doing your annual blood report, your lipid profile, everything else is in the normal. So it's a win-win situation for everyone, right? So we are encouraging people mainly to be flexible, so more plant-based, and then enjoy. I mean, like if you feel that you want to eat that burger, which has the beef or whatever, do it, but do it as an informed, make it an informed choice, that you know that it has X, Y, Z ingredients, which can be harmful. But if you want to do it, and then, also opt for the healthier version.
Right. Great. So, I mean, we have covered a lot of stuff, but I wanted to come back to the writing because I feel that a lot of books on food are coming out, especially from Penguin. I think Veer Sanghvi's book is coming up. There's Krish Ashok with Masala Lab. Charmaine has already come up with her book, the Good Health Always Cookbook. Is there a possibility? And first I'll go to Mayank. How does he feel about, writing a cookbook or something like that? And then we'll come back to Charmaine about this. Is there a possibility of people collaborating on cookbooks? I mean, look at the kind of books are coming out. Masala Lab is completely a different beast altogether. And Veer Sanghvi is talking about history. Charmaine is like super awesome in the nutrition department, and coming up with magic with all at everything at home. So what's going on? And it could be a possible collaboration of sorts, and we will be the winners.
Oh, I can't agree less, man. This is what I've been thinking for very long. You need experts on everything. See, I can make the best food in the world, delicious food in the world. I understand the science of it, but you need an expert. So I think Charmaine is the best expert in terms of, calculating the calories, and, she knows exactly what she's doing, so I can make the best of the spice blend, understanding the nature of the spices. Then again, calculating the value in it. That is another level. Then the food history is another thing. If it all comes together, imagine a recipe that is a great
That would
food.
be a masterpiece. I mean, that will really be something.
I might just call that
everybody, all the experts coming together.
I have even come up with the title Food Avengers. And if if Millie is listening to this, maybe they can come up with something like that. You never know.
Super amazing.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
would you be
Sell out on day one, yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, it would be a sellout, and I'll take my royalty for the name of the
Of
book.
course, you must, you must.
And Charmaine, are you open to that possibility of collaborating more with people like that? In writing something more, kind of holistic, perhaps. Are you open to that possibility?
Definitely, definitely, definitely. In fact, we are already working on the fourth book, but that's food history combined with the recipes, combined with the nutrition,
Okay.
and there's a story to it. So it's like, it's around a story and
Okay.
a kind of a love story, and then it brings
Okay.
in this whole love of food and
Wonderful.
other aspects. Yeah. So we are
Sounds
already
good.
working on something.
Pretty.
But that's a collaboration again with my daughters.
Yeah.
But I'm open to other
You have
collaborations with
already
people.
collaborated, so why not? Okay, let,
Yes, of course.
let's get down to business. First of all, I didn't want to talk about restaurants and such, but let's quickly. Can you guys tell us your three favorite foods? I know you make them, but favorite recipes, I must say, and three favorite restaurants across the globe, very quickly. And this is like a shootout, so you can't take too much time.
So my favorite restaurant. So two restaurants are in Mexico City.
Okay.
One is Quintonil and another one is Rai's. Unbelievable, beautiful restaurants.
Okay.
Then one restaurant, my all-time favorite is Bukhara in Delhi.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And I'll come back to you for three recipes. You can think till that
Of
time.
course.
Shamin, your three favorite restaurants. I mean, you love your kitchen. I know that, but we have to do this.
This will be biased again because apart from cooking in the kitchen and apart from helping us put all our stuff together, my husband also owns a couple of restaurants
Oh,
in partnership with people who've been in the business for over 75 years.
okay.
So I would definitely say that Nanking's is my all-time favorite
Okay.
in
Okay.
terms of a Chinese meal, specifically because I know that the chef will definitely not add the MSG and whatever else.
Okay.
And yeah. So kind
Great.
of that's one
Great.
thing that I really like.
Let's go to Mayank. Mayank, your
Okay.
three favorite recipes.
So first recipe, I always loved making biryanis. That
Okay.
is one. I love it.
I love
Then
I love you. I love you, man. Seriously. Yeah. Let's go to the second one.
we have recently started making a Banyard millet biryani. It's unbelievable. The
Okay.
millet biryani.
Okay.
So
Wow.
maybe when I visit Dehradun, so we
Yes.
should have one
Yeah.
session.
Why not?
And then second favorite is my vegan bolognese that I make.
Okay.
It's with the tofu,
Okay.
so like a little bit of the soy chunks, and of course the jackfruit in there.
Okay.
So
Great.
I love it. So that's my second favorite.
Yeah.
And third is, I always, I don't know why, but it's very simple. I make this bhang ki chutney.
Okay.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Great.
It's really good. Bhang ki chutney. I love it.
So, guys, if you want the recipes, just comment below. This is a free offer. You might just get a recipe.
In the next book.
Oh yes, yes, yes. True. Not for
Don't,
you have to
don't
buy the book. Yes.
buy the book.
Coming so top three from you.
From my book, of course. Yeah, it has to be topping the list is the hara vatana pesto
Okay.
mousse that we did.
Okay.
And we also make this amazing red currant souffle, which has tuar dal.
Okay.
So, it's incorporating everything else.
Yeah.
And I love the crinkle cookies that we do. Again, we use millets. So we bake and yeah, you have to try these. So,
Yeah, of course. I'm going to try everything.
And please send me feedback. Yes.
I'm going to try everything because I am, as I told you, I'm learning how to get better at this. So it's the perfect time for me to. I read the book and I loved it because it was kind of simple, as Mayank said. It was simple for me to understand, and that's needed, I think, so in this space. And looking forward to more collaborations like this. Of course, this one is with your daughters, and kudos to them also for adding so
Thank
much
you so
value to this. And Mayank, thank you so much. We have kind of woken you up early, but thank you so much for doing this, reading the book, giving your honest opinion. Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to perhaps a collaboration between between the two of you. Why not? Perhaps. And yeah, thank you so much.
Mayank, you have to take care. Sorry. Mayank, you have to take care. Now that Rohan's going to read the book and start on the recipes, he may just start a fancy fine
Yeah,
dining.
you never know. You never know.
Houston.
I'm just being inspired. I'm just being
Yes, of
I
course,
feel
of course.
inspired. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you, Mayank. Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you.
Guys, please, book nerds out there, guys, please go buy a copy, leave your comments on Amazon, whatever you felt about the book. And for other book related content, we don't just talk about cookbooks. Don't think that we only talk about cookbooks. This is one of the things. And for other book related content, you can always, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you so much. Guys, Mayank and Charmaine are available online on Facebook and Instagram. So check them out, and we'll leave the link in the description. So you can always, take their help if you need any, and buy the book. After that, you can take any sort of help. Okay. So,
thank you so much, and all the very best, Mayank, for all your future endeavors, and Rohan, to you too, and Neha. All the very best, and God bless you both.
Thank you so much, Penguin.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Penguin, Millie, Sumangla, and the rest. Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.